All right, can I get a motion to resume the meeting?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Ashby, second
Second.
by Mr. Edwards. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, meeting resumed at 6:43. And you said you want to go to,
Let's go and do our inquiries and general comments, sir.
we'll do our inquiries and general comments. Ms. Whitcamp, has anyone requested to speak?
Yes, sir, we have three.
Okay. I'm going to go ahead and read the rules. Please self-monitor and observe a 3-minute time limit. You may be given a 30-second warning when your time is almost up. If needed to accommodate a large number of speakers and maintain a reasonable meeting schedule, the time limit for all speakers may be shortened. You may speak on any topic, whether it is on the agenda or not, but are expected to do so in a respectful manner. Please do not discuss any specific student who is not your own, and do not discuss confidential personnel matters, including those of a disciplinary nature regarding any RISD employee. This should be discussed with the superintendent or the employee's supervisor. Please be advised that the board cannot take action on items that are not on the agenda. For the safety of yourselves and others, signs and placards are not permitted in the boardroom.
First of all, we have Lisbeth Vasquez.
Two. Okay. I got it. Hi, my name is Lisbeth Vasquez, and I'm the mother of Juliet Garcia. She's here. And I'm here to talk about the pre-K class. Juliet is the youngest of 4 children and the only girl. So you can imagine she's a bit spoiled and very loved in our family. From the age of 2.5, 3, she showed a strong sense of independence, but she has some difficulty expressing herself verbally. That's when I reached out to Parkview and Nancy Lopez for help for her speech development. All I can say, we have truly been blessed. Juliet has had the most wonderful teachers and support team. Thanks to their patience, guidance, and dedication, she's made incredible progress. She can now express herself clearly, not only in one language, but 2, English and Spanish. And sometimes she can express more than we expect. We get a lot of stories from school at home. Maybe Miss Aguilar, her teacher, can relate to this phrase. "I know, sweetie." That's Juliet's favorite line when she doesn't agree with something we say. "I know, sweetie." Juliet is very sociable, makes friends everywhere, and absolutely loves going to school. Every morning, she's so excited and happy to go. At our most recent meeting about her progress, I was overjoyed to hear all her positive feedback from the amazing team that works with her every single day at school. As I mentioned before, she is very enthusiastic about homework. When she brings home a library book, she asks us to read it over and over, sometimes 2, 3 times in a row, and often even more. We are grateful for everything that the school has done for Juliet. Special thanks to Ms. Aguilar and Ms. Diana for helping her grow, thrive, and fall in love with learning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, we have Jacob Sanchez.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Jacob Sanchez, and I'm here to speak on the pre-K, also at Nancy Lopez. My daughter, that's sitting next to, or was by her friend Juliet, Adelia, is also in Miss Aguilar's class also. And a lot of things she said was really good. What I noticed most about my daughter's her social behavior, being with other children her age, she's become, I guess you would say, less shy, being there. And a good thing about Miss Aguilar, what she teaches, it is a good foundation going into kindergarten. A lot of it has to do with a lot of consistency, especially another perspective, if there's parents here in the room, especially when it gets home. Also, the teachers do a lot of work during the day. That's like the race. And then, when our kids get home, that's like being parked in the garage. We got to, polish them up and clean the car up, keep that consistency going to help the teachers out, because they do a lot of work. Also, another thing that Ms. Aguilar does that we enjoy a lot is the parental engagements at the school. It happens quite often. We get to go play, do activities in the classroom, make art with our kids, especially all the artwork we come home with, where they come home with a lot of artwork during the day or during the week. They fill up the fridge, the wall, and, sometimes they even make good little gifts for our other family, too, little surprises if they like artwork. But, yeah, that's probably about it. The pre-K at Nancy Lopez is really well, and anything you can do to keep benefiting the teachers and the school for pre-K for our kids, because, these are our future leaders. So, thank you.
Next we have Marisol Jordan.
I'm here to talk about Parkview. I'd like to start with a little bit of background about myself. My name is Marisol Jordan. As she just said, I am married to the love of my life, Steeler Jordan, who serves as a lieutenant on the fire department here in Roswell, New Mexico. Together, we have 3 wonderful children, 3 dogs, a tarantula, and a bunny. We are also very proud owners of Harvey's Sensory Room, where we provide sensory tools primarily focusing on individuals with mental disabilities. When I was invited to speak today, I was thrilled to share how much Parkview has meant to us as a family. Our middle child was diagnosed with autism at the age of 3, and we were directed to Parkview. Initially, we were filled with fear and uncertainty, grappling with questions like, what is autism? Will the schools in Roswell be beneficial for him? And most importantly, will he be okay? I remember the first time I walked into Parkview to collect some paperwork for enrollment. I was greeted by Cindy, and as I shared that my son had just been diagnosed with autism, I began to cry. It was the first time that I had spoken those words aloud. The way Cindy responded has stayed with me. She stepped out from behind her little glass office, came through the double doors into the lobby, and enveloped me in a warm hug, assuring me that everything was going to be all right and that my son would be okay. I believe that New Mexico, particularly in small towns like Roswell, lacks many essential resources. However, we are incredibly fortunate to have an establishment like Parkview in our community. Despite New Mexico being ranked 49th in education, I am proud to say that Parkview does not reflect that ranking. Having a child with disability can make the experience of public school feel a bit more daunting. My son, who is nonverbal, is incredibly excited to go to school every day, which speaks volumes to me and my family. The educators and therapists at Parkview have been nothing short of amazing. Their patience and passion are profoundly evident, and I am grateful for the growth of my son. I am grateful for the growth that my son has achieved thanks to their support. I also had the chance to participate in a parenting class focused on raising children with disabilities, which made me feel understood. It was reassuring to know that many people in our community recognize the unique challenges faced by parents like us. My son has attended Parkview for both the 3-year and 4-year programs. He turned 5 in January and will be heading to kindergarten next school year. We will truly miss the opportunities for extra one-on-one time with our kids, such as gardening with gals, science nights, and recess play dates. Parkview generally prioritizes its students and the families within this community. The memories we've created at this school will be cherished for the rest of our lives. With that said, we would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to everyone at Parkview, especially Ms. Teresa, for nurturing the young minds that they are shaping.
That's all right. Thank you. Next up, we're gonna jump to our to our action items.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, members of the board, says we've adopted with flexibility. If I could take action item A, we'll address action item A and then continue with our agenda, which will be on with our presentations right after that. So with your permission, sir?
Yes, sir.
Awesome. So, Mr. President, you want to do the, you want to announce it?
Okay. First, we're gonna have travel for GHS Skills USA students to nationals in Atlanta, Georgia, June 22nd through 28th, 2025.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the travel for the Goddard High School Skills USA students to nationals in Atlanta, Georgia, June 22nd through the 28th of 2025, where I have been assured it will not be warm. And I know at that time they're going to come up and tell us a little bit about their trip. Please.
Members of the board, thank you for taking the time to let us speak. My name is Christian Fry. I'm the vice president of our organization. This program has been active for 2 years since my sophomore year in high school. We started from 12 kids and grew up to around 80 this year. We took less than 80, we took around 60 this year and competed in Albuquerque at the state level. We have the opportunity to take 8 people to the national level in Atlanta, Georgia this year. We have 5 juniors, 1 senior, and 2 sophomores going, and we have 2 second years. So Mr. Vega Solis we'll have him talk about his experience at Atlanta and how it impacted him.
That's a lot of gold medals.
Thank you. So my name is Christian Vega Solis, and I got the opportunity to go to Georgia, Atlanta to compete at the national level as a freshman. And I'm really grateful for that experience because it helped me realize like what I need to improve on, and also it gave me the opportunity to see how being a part of Skills USA can further my career and help me like acknowledge all the other like components of the workforce. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling, but yeah, it was really an opening, it opened my eye towards all the areas of the workforce. It really made me happy whenever I went, and I'm happy to go again as a sophomore. The opportunity of going there, it opened my college experience as well, because I was able to get college offers from multiple universities. Some of the ones that I acknowledge more than the others was Johns Hopkins and West Point.
No big deal.
Yeah, just those 2. Just those 2. Yeah.
As a freshman.
As a freshman.
Oh, he's getting.
And then again, we are currently in the process of gathering more sponsorships or more fundraising to go. We currently have the doctor from Carabelli Dental sponsored us with $500. We had Richard from JP Stone, the vice president for here in Roswell. He sponsored us. He's currently sending the check. We don't know how much that is. And then we've also talked to other family members and relatives, and we've gotten sponsorships from them as well. So we aren't done getting sponsorships, but we are currently still in the process of doing it. Along with that, yes, we had Gear Up sponsors. Did they tell you? Or, no, but we would like to thank Gear Up for also giving us the opportunity and sponsoring us as well.
Who do we reach out to if we want to sponsor you?
You either reach out to, sorry about that. We reach out to myself. I can give you guys emails or phone numbers, or Miss Rodriguez Hudson. She's our main advisor for our organization.
Thank you.
All right.
Or me. We could get anybody in touch.
Are you volunteering to sponsor him, Brian?
I can.
Okay. That's what it sounds like.
Sure.
Yeah, any sponsorships from anybody would be greatly appreciated.
I got you.
You're a salesman. Look at you.
Got you.
Good job.
I got that.
Can we get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Edwards, second made by Mr. Ashby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is approved.
All right.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck. Next up, we have the,
Back to information.
next, I guess we're gonna go back to information items.
That's this other group right here. Yes, sir.
All right.
Superintendent Luck,
Yes, sir.
after they come back, do you mind having them come back to the board
Absolutely.
and brief us how they do?
So, did you guys catch that? So, we'd like to know how you did. So,
Yep.
when you guys get done, come on back. We'll get you on the July meeting.
Come back with some gold.
Mr. President, members of the board, first in our informational items tonight, we have a combined Goddard High School and Roswell High School student presentation on risk and resiliency project. And who is going to be my advisor that wants to come up and just even give it a quick start? Or are we just going to go right to the kids?
We'll go right.
All right. They were practicing, so I'm excited for this.
Wow. What does that say? ACDC? Avid.
Hello, members of the board. We are the RAPS team from Goddard High School. Thank you for talking to us today. We'd like to begin by introducing ourselves.
Hello, I'm Haley Weeks and I'm a freshman.
I'm Remy Dozier and I'm a freshman.
Hello, I'm Madison Saunders and I'm a freshman.
Hi, I'm Chad Spahn and I'm a freshman.
I'm Reese Hunter and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Rasai Kiransan, I'm a sophomore.
I'm Jasmine Mayer and I'm a sophomore. I'm Madison Hartwell and I'm a sophomore.
I'm Abigail Palma and I'm a junior.
And I'm Sydney Miller and I'm a junior. Over the past school year, we have met continuously, holding 5 meetings since September 2024 to review and analyze data from the Youth Risk and Resiliency Survey. This data has helped us better understand both the strengths and challenges faced by students at Goddard High School. Through our discussions, we've identified key areas affecting our student body, including student health and safety, mental health and emotional well-being, substance use including drug and alcohol prevention, suicide awareness and prevention, sexual education, and sexual activity. Based on these discussions, we've developed an initial action plan aimed at improving the overall student experience and building a more supportive and resilient school environment.
We are now requesting your participation in a retreat where we present our findings in more depth, gather your insights, and collaborate on meaningful solutions. This is a dedicated day for reflection, feedback, and planning, focused on strengthening our school environment. We deeply value your perspective and support, and we hope you will join us in this important discussion. If you have any questions or concerns, we're happy to address them now. If not, we can address them at the retreat. Thank you for your time and consideration.
You got a question?
Any questions?
Okay. I know a little bit about the program through watching Roswell High put on their presentation. So, and this was sponsored by the health department, am I correct?
Yes.
And it's been going on for the last 3 or 4 years?
So at Goddard High School, this is our first year, so we're just now getting started, but we plan to keep it going for a very, very long time.
And when is this retreat going to take place?
We are not quite sure on that information yet.
We wanted to be able to discuss with you guys at a good time that would have been available for everyone, and it'd be like a half-day, full-day retreat.
That wouldn't be bad.
I know that Miss Cole, she went to our community outreach meeting. It didn't have a whole bunch of people, but we made pretty good strides, and she helped us connect us. She connected us with you guys to come and present to the meeting.
So board members, this data is from the New Mexico Youth Risk and Resiliency Survey that goes out across the state of New Mexico. I don't think it's every year.
No.
I think it's every 3 years.
Yeah, it's been 3, yeah.
Okay, sorry, I apologize. And really, they have some great data. That's New Mexico data, and then comparison with Roswell, and then it even goes down to the school level, so we can look at Roswell High and Goddard. And so their team has been working with the Department of Health. Yes, in collecting that. And so really, I think we had 9 community members at the session that I went to. And it was eye-opening for me. I mean, I've looked at the data reports every time they've come out, as a middle school principal, but I think the part that was the most eye-opening to me was the solutions that the students offered to solve some of those problems. They were surprising to me. Very great, intellectual, reflective responses, and so it kind of helped me to think a little bit differently about that data. So I think so I suggested to them, because we were thinking about, how could they get more information out to the community and to the school board, and so I suggested that they come this evening and maybe make a request to you all because it takes a little while to take that deep dive into the data, but anyway, they did a fantastic job.
Do you guys have any more questions?
The only question, if it's all day, it's a really important question. Can I have coffee?
Oh, of course.
Okay. It's a long time. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yes.
Good job.
Thank
Yes.
you.
Good job.
Okay,
That's
we'll
right.
hand it off to Russell High.
Thank you, guys. Hey, John. John gave me a tour of Roswell High. Probably doesn't remember this.
Hi, I'm Natalie. I'm student body vice president.
My name is Amalis Vasquez, and I'm the senior class president.
My name is Jonathan Benitez, and I'm your senior class vice president.
I'm Joaquin Bolaños, and I'm your senior class secretary.
I'm on the student body's secretary.
Next year.
Yes.
Okay.
Next
Oh.
year.
I was like, wait a minute.
Good afternoon, superintendent, school board members, and guests. My name is Natalie Lopez, and I'm honored to serve as your student body vice president for the 2025-2026 school year. Today, I am excited to introduce a group of dedicated student leaders who recently had an opportunity to participate in a powerful initiative in the University of New Mexico, the RAPS Risk Assessment Student Survey. Through the experiment, we were able to analyze important data highlighting Roswell High strengths and weaknesses, strengths and growths in the area as social leveled awareness and physical, mental health, substance use, and the impact of social media on the student well-being. This project has given us meaningful insight into the real challenges of our peers face as how we as student leaders can support and uplift one another. At its heart, Student Council is about amplifying student voices, promoting advocacy, and building stronger school communities.
President Cheney, members of the board, Superintendent Luck, good evening. My name is Joaquin Bolaños. Yeah, might want to fix that a little bit. My name is Joaquin Bolaños, and I'm a proud representative of Roswell High School. We're excited to share our recent work with you today, centered around an initiative we took on in collaboration with the University of New Mexico, which is the RAPS project, or in other words, the risk assessment project for students. This opportunity came to us through our participation at Student Council State, where we were inspired by the need for deeper community impact. That's where Project Connection was born. This project earned us second place statewide as we demonstrated how students could actively engage with real issues affecting their peers. In addition to Project Connection, we were also proud to take home second place for our mental health and suicide prevention efforts through our collaboration with the Tessa Anderson Suicide Prevention Coalition. These recognitions helped solidify our purpose, to lead with empathy, service, and awareness. Now, why RAPS? Why take on this initiative for RAPS? It's because we saw a need, not just for awareness, but for action. Mental health, substance abuse, and social isolation are no longer topics we can afford to whisper about. Through RAPS, we saw a way to turn data into direction and student voice into student-driven change.
Hello, good afternoon. My name is Adamaris Vasquez. Actually, can you move this down a little bit? It's like right in my face. Sorry. Okay. So I'm sure you're sitting here thinking, well, he's talking about all this. What is RAPS? RAPS is a risk assessment project for students. It's a program facilitated through the University of New Mexico that trains youth to analyze and interpret health-related data. From the New Mexico Youth Risk and Resiliency Survey, the program does more than just teach numbers. It empowers students to become informed advocates. We learned how to organize and interpret data and how to address sensitive topics like suicide, social media pressure, sexual health, and mental well-being. Another one, sorry. Our journey began with an initial training at the Roswell Public Library, where we learned how to sort and structure public health data. That training led to an in-depth analysis retreat held at Roswell High of September of last year. During the retreat, we explored how to advocate using facts, build teamwork, and engage with topics that are often difficult to discuss, but absolutely necessary. We developed health literacy, practiced data privacy, and most importantly, we gained the confidence to speak out on issues affecting our peers, which leads to this past semester, we hosted a community dialogue event where we invited stakeholders, families, and leaders from across RISD to come see what we had learned. Unfortunately, a lot of the members that we did invite did not show up. We created a data matching game that if you look right here, right behind you. So this actually, it was a game to challenge assumptions, and it worked. Many adults were surprised by the reality of what students are facing today, which I feel opened up the eye of the adult to the perspective of what really goes on. A lot of these matching datas and percentages you would think are not for what they go for. Oh, okay. Anyways, so frequent social media use, 39%. That's typical. If you go down, drove after drinking alcohol, that's a question you don't want to see at the high school ever. Or teasing or name calling because of race or ethnicity. No one wants to see that. From this conversation, we presented 3 actionable solutions to help address some of the issues. Oh, there he is. RHS Block Party, a celebration of sobriety and healthy choices with support from local businesses and community organizations. Or we have the Coyote Pass. The Coyote Pass is an appointment and sensitive system using the Live School platform to encourage students to attend counseling and support services. Or open gym weekends. An open gym helps many athletes stay sharp and give the community a safe, positive space to stay active and off the streets. And offers the community freedom to train on their own time and keep improving outside of regular practices. And this doesn't just mean just athletes. I know as an athlete, I know there's many students in our community who unfortunately cannot afford or are not able to participate in certain sports or activities, but we do have a couple of teachers who would be willing to volunteer and supervise at these open gyms, which I think would be very beneficial to our community. Back to Joaquin.
RAP showed us that data isn't just numbers. It's people. It's our classmates, our friends, and our future. Thanks to the support of our school advisors, and programs like RAPS, we are not only learning, we are leading. Together, we can continue building a stronger and healthier Roswell for everyone. Thank you.
Hey, I commend Goddard and I commend Roswell High for you kids coming out here and stepping up and giving information. And a lot of the stuff that these young ladies and young men provided today, they gave us the games. We went through this stuff, this little deal. And as adults, we don't know everything. We think we know everything, but we're not even close. Because a lot of these kids are going through and dealing with things that we've never dealt with. And it was a good presentation. And I thought I knew a lot about kids because I'm always involved. But when we did it, the teachers, if the teachers that were there, and you didn't have as many people that you invited that showed up, but we went out and recruited some people off the street. We had some sheriffs that came in. We got some National Guard guys that were walking around, and we pulled them in to showcase the kids. And it was really eye-opening on the stuff that these kids produced. And then when I talked to Goddard, I talked to somebody from Goddard, and they said, hey, the numbers were totally different because each circumstance is totally different. You know, Roswell is one, but all of the circumstances are totally different. And I guarantee you, us adults would fail, every adult in this room would fail that test that these kids gave us because we thought we knew everything. That's administrators, that's school board members, that's me as a Gear Up advisor. That's me coming from where I come from because times have changed. These kids put on a very good program, and I'm looking forward to seeing Goddard's because I heard Goddard's was good. And the turnout, if you need somebody to recruit people to show up, I'll get you some people there. I'll have you some people there, and I guarantee it. But I commend Goddard and I commend Roswell High because it takes a lot to come here and to produce what you produced. I could only imagine what Goddard did because I saw what Roswell did. And you know, we're stronger as one. And that's good to see y'all coming out here today. I was really surprised because I was thinking about inviting y'all, but that's what it's about. It's about these kids and listening to these kids. You know, you can make all the money in the world, but we need to start listening to these kids. and paying attention to what they have to say. Because we don't know everything as adults. I'm 50 some odd years old. I'm not going to go into numbers, but I don't know everything, and I continue to learn. And we can, and everybody in this room that's an adult, and you young adults, we can learn from y'all. We can take a lot of what you have to offer, because you're our future. And hey, I commend you. And that's pretty much all I have to say. But thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry. I just have to. I have to echo Mr. James's sentiments. So, and I'm going to go down a rabbit hole real quick. And it's a testament to the teachers at Roswell High and the administrators over there. So about 6 months ago, I know, Jonathan, sorry, I'm going to call you out. I don't know if you remember, but you gave me a tour of Roswell High one day when I had showed up there. And my wife and I, and again, I say this for everybody, had talked about potentially pulling our kids out of public school and private school. But I was so impressed with Jonathan, and again, how articulate he was, respectful. Again, it gave me faith in the students, the education, the educators. I walked away, Jonathan, and I told not just my wife, but different family members about our interaction. And again, you probably don't remember me, but I was very impressed. Again, you gave me the tour by yourself, and we spent about 2 hours walking around. And again, I want to thank you publicly, and thank the administrators at Roswell High. I walked away extremely impressed. So thank you guys for being here.
Very good.
Sorry.
Awesome. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
All right, Mr. President, members of the board, just a quick reminder, as we did adopt with flexibility, the next item that is up on the information item is a NM pre-K monitoring compliance findings. That was what Matthew did up there when we had our pre-K group that was sitting up there behind us. Super proud of the work they did. Yeah, y'all are good if y'all need to leave.
Thanks, guys.
So, not all of y'all, but just the kids. Matthew came in, and he has been so great to work with. He helped us get our program off the ground. We have a great working relationship with him, with Kevin McCormick. We're really excited about the work that our team is doing. And I don't think that the amount of time that I gave him was even remotely close enough time for him to go on and rave about Roswell. If you've heard, pardon me, out and about in any of your circles with the board members that Roswell has the best pre-K 4-year-old, 3-year-old programs in the state, that we do, and bar none. So thank you again to our team as well. Excuse me. A couple quick updates, Mr. President, members of the board. I was asked to give an update on the cleanup of DeBrenham Stadium. So after our last board meeting, we did reach out to the insurance company as far as trying to check to see would our insurance company be the entity that would help pay for the cleanup of DeBrenham Stadium. We did get back positive feedback from them, i.e., as of right now, we're a go. The first bid, and when I say cleanup, the first cleanup bid came in fairly high, but again, we are looking at not only just the removal of debris, but the elimination of some of the smaller buildings, the pressure washing of some of the permanent buildings. The bleacher facilities, as of right now, look like they're going to be able to be salvaged, i.e. we won't have to touch them. We were asked to have our contractor, right now we've only had one contractor that's bid on the cleanup. We were asked to have them itemize it so that the insurance company could get a better feel for why the bid was so much higher than what they had estimated. Our head of maintenance, Mr. Sean Benedict, I've got the email where he was like, hey, I got to get some go orders on this so that our team can come in and just get the general look of it cleaned up. We're wanting to make sure that we're not potentially putting any of the rest of the project in jeopardy. It shouldn't. Us blowing the junk that's in the fences back out into the behind the stone wall so that it doesn't look bad shouldn't. We expect hopefully to get the green light. I'm a week and a half-ish into the email that was sent the other day to get it back. And as soon as we get that going and get that clearance, we're going to get that done and hopefully be a good partner with the city. So I know we technically don't own that. But the way we've got the agreement right now, we should be able to pick up the cost. And when I say that, we're actually looking at going in with about 6 to 8 inches of topsoil removal and cleaning it up, and probably having to replace some sprinklers. Also as well, the electrical, because the box, not the lights above, because those wires go up high, but the box down below was, I mean, obviously submerged. So really looking forward. Our plan right now is that we're going to play hopefully mid-school football in the fall there. We do have some contingency plans. Thank you to Goddard for allowing us the opportunity, like they had a choice, to play soccer over at Goddard. Mid-school soccer, I think they finished up tonight, right? Tonight? No pun intended there, but we got a shameless plug there for Mountain View. Mountain View gets both of them, or just boys title, and Berendo got the girls. Congratulations. But at that time, excuse me, we are, like I said, we're ready to go. The team is they've got the plan as far as what we're going to pick up, and we look forward to having that project up and running ASAP. So I stand for questions on the Brenham Stadium cleanup.
You said that the electrical, it was submerged in, and has anybody went out and looked at the electrical?
When the adjusters came through, they did take a look at it. The irony is that I made the comment, I said, has anybody hit the switch to see if it works?
That's what my next
and
question.
We have not had that happen yet. No, sir.
Okay, because I know we had the same issue out at Stiles Field with the football, and most of our electrical is in the ground.
Yes, sir.
And so we had about 3 feet of water, and like you said, you don't know what you're going to get until you hit the electrical. Lo and behold, we were blessed enough that and ours is down in the ground, and when they turned the power on, it worked. So that can be a big determinator.
That would be huge. Yes, sir.
And whether your price is going to go up or it's going to remain the same.
Sir.
So what are we looking at as far as electrical?
I don't have the breakdown in front of me just right here, right now. I know we were above the 500,000 mark across the board. The electrical would be probably a big piece to that, as well as the dirt.
Also, we're estimating it at 500,000 without anybody turning on the electrical.
Well, and again, this is just the bids coming in. So
Okay.
if it was this, then it would be this. I will reach back out to our insurance company to see if and when we could start maybe kind of crossing some of those things out. My bigger issue for them, not with them, is I see that stadium as well. I drive by that thing probably 5-6 times a week. I'm averaging about 2 calls a week on when are y'all going to clean that up. I don't want to say it's on the list, but I also know that for the ability for our insurance to pick up and basically refresh it, I don't want to take the chance that our city doesn't get that opportunity. So I will have my team reach back out tomorrow to see if anyone has turned on the lights, and we can actually go back into and see what type of a cost reduction that would be. And our insurance company may say, that's nice that they work, but you're going to put in new ones. They may. I don't know. Again, that was one of our early concerns was we did not want to have anything that caused a no-go on that facility to prohibit us from being able to use it.
No problem.
So, but I will hopefully be able to have an answer for y'all by the end of the week on at least the electrical part. Okay. Any other questions on DeBrown? All right. Quick update on collective bargaining. I'm going to defer to members of my assistant soups here right now. I've got several of them that sit on the collective bargaining team. I know we have met. They have met with the union to go over some of the concerns that they have. Mr. Sexton, Ms. Cole, Mr. Bewley, I believe this is an open year. Did I say that right? Where everything is up for negotiations. I know that they've worked pretty tediously. The directive, if you will, that I have asked for our legal counsel is that we proceed to do just like we did last year, where we have got this done ASAP, and by ASAP, hopefully July 1st, so that our payroll has the opportunity to do the work that they need to do, so that we're not looking for any types of changes with the employees' salaries. Mr. Sexton, Ms. Cole, Mr. Bewley, do y'all have anything to add to that?
Work in progress. We've been going back and forth with proposals on both sides, but it's been very productive, and we're looking forward to finishing it up on the 27th and 28th.
Yes.
So we're really pushing to get it onto the June agenda or possibly a special.
Yes.
But we really want it done in June.
27th, 28th of June, or May.
Of May is our next 2 days of bargaining.
Okay.
So the week after we graduate, the team comes back in for another 2-day session. And then we just got some finalization with CWA, where we're going to start the process for those negotiations as well. So again, loud and clear message, predates Mr. Ashby of let's get these done, let's get them over with. We shouldn't be having to worry with these things well into October, and that's agreed on that. So, any questions on the collective bargaining?
Yes, I know that a lot of the stuff, is it online right now, the current agreement, is it online? So, is there a way that, I'd like to see a markup of what we currently have, what's in our current deal, and what's being proposed to be taken out before we actually have to vote on it, so we can see a markup of the adds and the deletions of what's going to be offered in the collective bargaining. Is that possible?
On that one, I'd have to check. I know that during the process of collective bargaining, I'm not involved in this part.
Right. Now, my next question is, why aren't you involved?
I'm sorry?
Are you not involved?
Not in this part, no, sir.
Okay.
But the process itself, they go back and forth. They do a proposal, we do a counter proposal. We do have to negotiate in good faith. We just can't go and say, well, we're not gonna do anything that you guys want us to do, and we have to do this. You do vote on the CBA at the end. I don't know if you are provided a markup of what took place. I'd have to check on that, but I could most definitely check on that and give it to Mr. Luck, and I'll give it to you.
I would think that some of the language that would be in the collective bargaining agreement, pre-sharing of information before the union ratifies it, versus after the union ratifies it, that would be the only thing I could think of that would be some type of a hang-up. But I can make sure that we can get you everything that we're allowed to get you.
You know, I'd like to see the deletions from the current,
okay,
and the add-ons that are going to be added into it, because it's hard to vote on something that you haven't read.
Okay.
You know, we usually come in here and there's a motion made and we endorse this. Well, I'd like to see something in black and white that I can read over and say, in good faith, I'm going to vote for this to make sure that our teachers are protected. I want to make sure that it's a markup. All it is just a straight up markup of what's taken out and what's added.
Yes, sir. We'll check into that.
Okay.
If you're, Mr. Edwards, real quick, if you do look on there is a TA, tentative agreement that's online. Take a look at that to see if that's what you're actually looking for, because on that it does have the strikeouts and the additions.
Already?
On the TA portion, not
Okay.
the CBA, but the TA portion.
Okay.
And I would just like to add that HR was involved for one day. Mrs. Trujillo spent one day with us. And that I believe you received all of the information from the attorney on the things that we covered when you weren't there. I think I saw some feedback. So there was a little bit of involvement from Human Resources in the process.
And
as
they
well.
have been in communications.
It's just not me as Mrs. Trujillo.
Okay.
as the person.
Okay.
Right. Any other questions on the collective bargaining process? Awesome. A quick construction update. So I have Mr. Sanchez here. Jeremy's going to come up. And a quick overview and then specific to Mountain View.
Good afternoon, good evening, Superintendent Luck, board members. I want to give you a construction update. Nancy Lopez Elementary, as you may have seen if you've driven in the neighborhood, under construction. As we're looking forward, we're probably going to be done with it about this time, maybe April or May next year. So we're a little bit too late to hit that right timing to get the kids in the school during the school year. So it'll be August of '26 when that school will be ready to open up for the school use. We're doing well over there. We've had some good weather days, although it's had some rain and we've had some wind, understatement, but nonetheless we're going strong. We're going to start roofing here pretty soon. We've got walls up, and then it's into the inside of the building. Mountain View is still in the design phase. We are working through that. We have a design meeting scheduled next week at the school on the 21st. And we are continuing just to work with the design team and the engineers about all the things that go into designing a brand new school, the utilities and the placement and how we work through construction phasing versus the school itself. So if there's anything specific I can answer, or if you have any questions, let me know.
Have you ran into any hiccups at Nancy Lopez yet?
Hiccups as far as construction?
Any bumps and bruises that were unexpected?
The weather can be good and bad for us. Water delays or rain delays are always challenging for us because it makes the site muddy, or it brings in water to the building, but that hasn't really been an issue. As I'd mentioned in the past, back in October, I came and toured the site right after the flood, and the water didn't even reach to the concrete. So they were very, very fortunate that part stayed dry. The site was very wet, but the building itself had stayed dry, and so we are trucking along.
So no problems with the water source to go into the building and go out?
None that we're aware of.
So the piping looks stable?
The piping does look stable.
Okay.
That's true.
Mountain View.
Yep.
Okay. Way back when we first were discussing Mountain View, I thought it was proposed that we were going to have two projects going simultaneously. But we're not doing that. We're still in the design phase, right?
So maybe clarify as to two projects simultaneously would be Nancy Lopez under construction and Mountain View under construction at the same time, which is still our plan as we design the last phase of Mountain View, and then we move into the RFP process for selecting contractor.
Okay.
Which at this point, our design phase is looking to be finished up in October of this year.
Jeremy, the only question I have is, how often are you going out to Nancy Lopez and inspecting the work of the contractors?
So we have project meetings twice a month, and that's with the design team. Communication is always ongoing, and then myself, I'm out there, 5 or so times a week, driving through, taking a look at what's going on, and staying in communication with not only the general contractor, but other subcontractors that are on site. Steel framers, roofers are going to be there soon, electricians, plumbers, mechanical contractors.
Thank you.
Sure.
And so you're a one-man team then, basically?
I'm a one-man department.
Okay.
Wow.
That's correct.
Okay.
Well, Mr. President, members of the board, if I may, I stopped by the other day actually to tell Jeremy that he was coming in for this one. And he was working on a continuation of our facilities master plan. So right now, our key focus, Nancy Lopez, Mountain View, Washington Avenue, shift down, Goddard, Roswell, Goddard, however you want to order those two. And then we basically start all over as long as the funding sources continue to be there. So it's a never-ending job. We in my head, Missouri Avenue is still a brand new building. And it's not. I mean, we're pushing, how many years for that building being done? 20-ish?
No.
15, 10, 15?
12.
Okay. By the time we get done with our larger projects down the road, that building has the potential to be anywhere from 20 to 25, almost 30 years old. So the work never stops in that department. So we're excited about what we are doing and constantly looking towards the future as well.
Hey, Jimmy, really quick, if you would remind me, so if Nancy Lopez, and I know we had discussed this before, if Nancy Lopez will be completed next April, so a year from now, approximately, how are we gonna transition? Are we gonna finish the school year with the students in the old building and then demolish the old building during the summer, or what is the plan for transition?
So the district made that land swap agreement with the state so that when we were ready to occupy our new building, we would leave the old building behind for their use, tactical training, and other personnel. And so we're not doing demolition of the old building.
That's right.
We're just opening up the new school August of 2026 and starting there.
Got it, thank you. Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Awesome. Our final item here for informational items is strategic goal district planning. I have some really neat graduation numbers that show a jump in our graduation totals from last year's numbers, or pardon me, from 2 years ago's numbers to last year's numbers, from 23 to 24. And we've made some pretty significant gains. And I want to stop, though, for a second, and I want to start with what you saw in the Pueblo Auditorium a second ago with our pre-K initiatives, and tying that directly to Goal 1, which centers 1,000% around early childhood education and the benefits of early childhood education, so that hopefully as we build that foundation for our kids, move them through the other programs that they've got, that we can really double, quadruple down on what we're seeing with our graduation numbers. So, I mean, I was all over the place today looking at my 7 goals for, our strategic goals, and I just couldn't stop not wanting to focus on the work that we're doing, not only at Parkview, but at most of our regular elementary schools across the district with the 4Y programs. Roswell's leading the way as far as that. And the team that works with the ECD, I mean, they have called us multiple times to figure out how to solve a problem, because our group has done that. And the leadership with Ms. Ortega, with Ms. Green, with Ms. Trenton, the teams, I mean, that group of ladies, that wasn't even everybody that was up on stage tonight. So really just want to double highlight the work of the early childhood education, so that the end game is continued rise in graduation rates, with Goddard at a 76.14 UHS, with a 64.44, early college at 96.52, Roswell High at 71.51, with a district average of 74.57. The growth that our high schools have made, it's very difficult to push that piece over, especially whenever you're having to fight some of the rules and the standards of what you're still held accountable for a student that you haven't seen since they were 14. So I'm really proud of the work that everybody's doing. It really just ties in line with the work that we're getting out of curriculum instruction, where the pieces are all starting to come together in my world, and I'm very excited to see that. So, any questions? Okay.
And that was a nice article Roswell Daily Record ran Sunday. It was pretty much the same info.
Yeah.
All right, thank you. Let's move on to the approval of the minutes.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the minutes of the April 8th, 2025 regular meeting and the April 28th, 2025 special meeting.
Discussion? Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second. Motion made by Mr. Edwards, second made by Mr. Ashby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. On to consent agenda.
Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the consent agenda. to include approve April bills, authorize May bills, and approve May bars. As you can see in your board book, it's fairly substantial. And if you can't see it, Mr. Edwards actually has a hard copy there, and we got a lot of work going on right now. Lots of good. Thank you to the business office for keeping all of us straight with this. There's a lot.
All right. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Got a motion made by Mr. Ashby, and I will second it. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it, and consent agenda has been approved. All right, and then we'll continue with our action items.
And Mr. Cheney, just a point of clarification, Mrs. Sanchez did ask if we could phone her for the action item agendas.
Okay. Pull that up.
Special education policies. Special education, approval of fine arts education. Sponsorship, donation, time, memorial.
Good evening, Ms. Sanchez. This is Jack with the Roswell Schools. We are getting ready to start our action items.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. We're gonna continue with our action items now. We're gonna go to the updated 2025 Special Education Policies Handbook.
Yes, sir, Mr. President and Mrs. Sanchez, this would be action item B. I recommend approval of the updated 2025 Special Education Policies Handbook. And again, this is a yearly update that we get out of our policy services with our SPED lawyer, our attorneys, Walsh Gallegos. This is just making sure that we stay in compliance. We've been operating under the guidance of the handbook, but this is just a yearly update.
Mr. Luck,
Yes, ma'am.
I was going to ask you, that handbook that we're talking about is going to be posted on our website, I understand?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And is it the whole 403 pages?
I believe so. Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And then, of course, it says it will be translated also.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion made by Mr.
Second.
Edwards, second made by Ms. Sanchez. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it, and the motion is carried. Next up, we have the 2025-2026 approval of the Fine Art Education Act application.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the 2025-2026 Fine Art Education Act application. And as Ms. Getty is coming up to tell us just a little bit about that, I would also like to make note with Ms. Whitcamp that we do acknowledge in the records that Mrs. Sanchez has joined us by phone. Awesome, thank you.
Well, Mr. Superintendent Luck, School Board President Cheney, and
school board members. I apologize. I had a really fantastic PowerPoint. I guess I didn't send it to the right person. So, but I did want to go over some things about the application. I had really cool pictures of kindergarten painting. So I'll see if we can get that out to you guys, because there was some really cool side-by-side comparisons of where the kindergartners started at the beginning of the year with their free explore painting time and where they are now. So what I did want to point out to you is there's been at the beginning of the application, there was a big change in language, and I wanted to point that out to you, and that is that they are now going to an asset-based programming. Our fine arts is asset-based. And I wanted to point out that the definition of that is it's a focus on the strengths that diverse students bring to the classroom and relies on today's educators viewing student differences as assets, not differences. And I think we've seen a lot of that tonight about how that's where everything is going in this direction. And I just wanted to point that out, that the fine arts are going that direction too. Some highlights from the application that I did want to make sure that I pointed out to you was that in the school year 24-25, students, we added 9 ILC classrooms. So the art and music teachers go as a team into those ILC classrooms, those intensive learning classrooms. These are students who cannot tolerate pushing into the general education classroom during music or art time. They're still able to do so. It kind of becomes a day-to-day basis. And I don't know if you had a chance to see any of our showcases or any of our art, but they have art that's on display in all of our art galleries, and including our Eastern New Mexico Art Gallery. There's some student art you'll see that it's from ILC classrooms at Eastern New Mexico Medical Center there too. So they are being included. When we say that we are cultivating the creative spirit in all students, we do mean all students. And that is very near and dear to our hearts. I always get choked up every time I say it, because we take it to heart and we put it into action. So our funding continues to pay the salaries of all the certified art and music teachers. It includes instructional resources, age-appropriate and specialized instruments, and visual art materials. We're really proud of the fact that we are using our dollars and cents very, very, we're really good at it. And so it's driving me crazy that I don't have my clicker and I don't have my slides, but show must go on. We are using our dollars really well. My salary, our assistant salary, my administrative assistant salary does not come out of that. The district kicks that piece in, but the vast majority of the money that is being spent on elementary fine arts is coming out of these dedicated funding dollars. It's a very small amount that is coming out of the district budget to support the program. So we're super proud of that. The district does help us with curriculum, and the district helps with our building and our maintenance of our building, which can be a pretty penny. So we do appreciate the district for that piece. Kindergarten is going to continue to be 45 minutes. That's been a discussion that we've had. But this 45 minutes is divided into 30-minute skills-based lessons with a 15-minute watercolor free explore. We found that to be, it can be taxing on the classroom system, but we find that investment is well worth it when you see the skills that are being developed by these students. They paint. We don't tell them what to paint. We don't even tell them really too much how to paint. We give them some instruction on Mr. Brushy, and this has become a highlight of the kindergartners' time, so we are going to continue to do that. It's going to take some juggling with some of our bigger schools, but we're going to add art integration services to those bigger schools to make sure that everybody is getting that equal amount of contact time. I just wanted to be open and transparent with that, and that our PLCs this year focused on assessment practices. We'll continue with that, but our goals are going to include planning as well. We found that we need to wrap back around and make planning a part of what we're doing. Not that we haven't been planning, but that we're going to use a backwards design model, and our professional development is going to focus on that in the coming year. Our showcases, I don't know if you've seen any of the art all along those halls. We had 172 pro panels that were displaying art here in this building, and most of the. Oh, what did you do for me? Thank you. Oh, I appreciate tech. They're the best. Okay. And is it on? It's on. Now it's on. I did. I clicked it to green. Mr. Bewley helped me. Okay, there you go. So in August, this is what the kindergartners were doing. And then in April, this is what they're doing. So what you see right in front of you is the kindergartners, what they were given, this is through an art integration lesson, they were given a template of a hot air balloon to trace with a permanent marker. None of them marked on themselves. Well, most of them didn't. And the rest of the detail, they've added on their own. It came straight out of their own brain. Although what's happening in August is super fantastic. It's all coming out of their own brains. We just give them the paint and a little bit of, this is how you pressure Mr. Brushy, and this is how you load the paintbrush, and this is what you get. So you can see we started with the typical houses that you might see, and then they're adding some background details, going just from straight lines to complete scenes that include a little bit of themselves.
The typical houses that you might see, and then they're adding some background details, going just from straight lines.
So, yeah.
They include a little bit of themselves. The typical houses.
And there's some last little bits there of what the kindergartners are coming up with. So, really proud of the work that's happening there, and that the creative solution of how to fill those extra 15 minutes has turned out to be an absolute boon for students, and is well worth the investment that we're making. We are going to work with the curriculum and instruction department with some creative solutions on how to maybe work with our instructional classroom personnel to make sure that we are that nobody's feeling too taxed by the system, and maybe adding some things to what the CLC offers. So, but that's an ongoing discussion. Okay, so I already talked to you about all of this, and I was at showcases. So our December showcase data I already gave to you, and then our May data I'll have to provide for you in an update, because we're still in the middle of them right now. You've all seen the schedule and have been invited. But I just wanted to highlight the fact that we had, at the end of our last year's application, there were 5 opportunities that we could see for improvement, and 4 out of 5 of these opportunities have been met by the showcases. So that includes the opportunity for every kindergarten through 5th grade student to perform, and we're making it happen. And to showcase a piece of art, and for their parents to come see them perform, and for them to go and look at their art in context of what their peers are doing as well. We've increased our partnership with all of the elementary schools. Like I said, was about to say 9 of them are here at Pueblo, and then the other 3 we've gone to their building. And then we've increased parent and community awareness about our programs. We're everywhere right now. And then we've also increased our assessments. And so we're really excited about that. This is what the showcases look like. This is our art. I don't have any pictures of students up on stage because I didn't feel like that was the right thing to do. I don't have permission to put all of those students' faces up on a screen. But this is what 172 pro panels look like. And then that on the far left is our 6th grade installation that is here in the back of Pueblo, and is going to go back out with the black lights to the middle schools. This is a kindergarten bulletin board that was made from art that started in our classrooms with our art program. So, and then this classroom teacher went and made a bulletin board. So that's that increased partnership that we're talking about. And finally, our celebrations, we've leveraged our PDP process. We've really gotten every last little drop out of it to increase our summative and formative assessment practices. My evaluation, my PDP has been on evaluation assessment practices and keeping that data, and all of our PLC's discussions. And I would like to highlight the fact that in my observations through my walkthroughs and the data that I'm keeping, we have increased formative assessment by 20% in the lessons that I've been observing, and student self-assessment by 28%, which is a really big improvement. And we still have summative assessment that we're going to be working on, and that's something that we're going to do in our next year. And then sixth grade has increased doubled the number of days that they have had contact with the sixth grade students in the middle school. They're through a project-based art integration approach, and we're going to continue to leverage that and increase our days again. Here's two of our sixth grade teachers working on those projects. We got teachers' hands in on those projects. So that's Carlos Gomez and Mr. Rittenhouse. I apologize that I made a typo with Mr. Rittenhouse. Nobody tell him. All right. And then pre-K, it's pre-K. And so pre-K is actually not covered by our dedicated funding. So this is a place where the school district kicks in to help. And we're looking to make sure that we get that, we continue that on. Pre-K kicks in with funding and materials, technical assistance, and some other costs come out of the CLC operational budget. And then administrative oversight is a collaborative effort between myself and Danielle and Sally Green. And here is a picture of some pre-K art that was turned into a bulletin board by a teacher at one of our pre-K programs. And then I just wanted to show you some other stuff that they've been up to. So on snow, wind, and flood days, and community learning days, the CLC teachers are not at rest. They are online with students and making those connections, and you can see some examples of what they're up to on those days because the CLC never sleeps. Thank you so much I know it's been a long meeting, and so thank you so much for the time. And I stand for any questions or comments that you have. And thank you, Royce.
Good. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Edwards, second made by Mr. Ashby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it, and the motion has carried. All right, we'll move on to item number D, which is going to be, we have the Parkview Early Literacy 3Y Curriculum Adoption.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, members of the board, as they are coming up here, I do recommend approval of the Parkview Early Literacy 3Y Curriculum Adoption. And Ms. Ortega and her team are here to go over that with you real quick.
Good evening, President Cheney, school board members, and Mr. Luck. I sent a letter to kind of give you background on our 3Y program. A lot of our community don't even know, some of them, that we even have a 3-year-old program in RISD. These are our youngest learners, and for the longest time, they were only accepted into the program if they had a disability. So many of them were moving on from Los Pasitos, Mecca, transitioning into public school, and then our 3Y program was pretty much all self-contained classrooms up until this year when we got our 3Y pilot grant. And we've been able to get students, typically developing students in those classrooms. And so as the state is continuing to invest in RISD and our programs and allowing us to lead the way, we're seeing what can we do to, Mrs. Cole tasked me and Sally with how are we going to spend our time making sure we're preparing our pre-K students for kindergarten. And then now the door has opened. How are we really preparing our students, our most vulnerable, youngest students with disabilities, preparing them to be ready for even the pre-K curriculum? And so when we started looking at the current curriculum, it was actually adopted for 4-year-old New Mexico pre-K students. And so our 3-year-old teachers have had to not only was the curriculum for typically developing students. For a full day, they're having to take that, adapt it to 3-year-olds with a disability who are only on campus 3 hours a day. And so with the pilot grant, it has allowed us to actually use the money from the pilot grant to completely fund a new curriculum. And so I'm going to pass it off to my 3Y team. I have Ms. Jasmine Smith and Gabby Gonzalez who will be going through their presentation. And this curriculum, just real quick, the background, you met Mr. Matthew Hernandez tonight. There were 2 curriculums that in the state are being used in 3Y classrooms. And so really our focus was on those 2 curriculums.
So we're just going over a proposal for a curriculum that we feel is more age appropriate and developmentally appropriate for our 3-year-old program. So you'll hear us say 3Y a lot, but that's just our 3-year-old learners. So what do we feel the need is for a new curriculum? So the 3-year-old program needs a more developmentally appropriate curriculum to better serve the population of students we teach, which, like Ms. Danielle just said, is the mostly 3-year-olds who are on IEPs and have developmental delays. We are getting into adding typically developing students, which this curriculum will also support. So the current curriculum right now we have is 3 Cheers for Pre-K, which Pre-K mostly is adopted for 4 to 5-year-olds that are typically developing, and our 3-year-olds are not there yet or don't have those skill levels yet. So there are 3 curriculums that we had options to go through from Mrs. Cole that are aligned to our New Mexico state standards and the essential indicators for preschool and pre-K. So like I said, we have 3 Cheers for Pre-K right now. That's our current curriculum. And then we looked at and compared that to the creative curriculum and Frog Street for preschool. So for 3 Cheers for Pre-K for the 3-year-old program, we feel there are a lot of cons of the current curriculum, just as it pertains to our 3-year-old students. So we're just going to go over some of those things. So for 3 Cheers for Pre-K, we feel like the current curriculum is really made for typically developing full-day students who are 4 to 5-year-olds in English speaking. Our students are 3 years old. They don't turn 4 till towards the end of the year. They are mostly on IEPs, like I said. They have developmental delays, and a lot of them are nonverbal or don't have those English language skills yet, so they're dual language learners. The cultural competency is really missing from the current curriculum. There's not a way for us to embed family engagement opportunities for their 3-year-olds or teaching us how to embed their cultures into our classroom. English language learners component is very hard to find. There's not a dual language component to this current curriculum, and the Spanish curriculum version of this you have to purchase separately, which we only have online as of right now. Modifications and accommodations for our special education students or students who are nonverbal or need more visual support are really lacking within this curriculum. The teaching script is very long and very detailed, so it doesn't really give room for a lot of student-directed learning opportunities. It's a lot of teacher-directed and really talking at the students versus exploring and doing like manipulation with them for them to do some play and exploration through learning. Social emotional competency is really lacking in this current curriculum. What they have now is really discussions, and the vocabulary for social emotional skills is really above our students' skill level right now. So that's something that we've really developed the last couple years, like with our PBIS pyramid program, really emphasizing teaching those foundational skills for social emotional learning. And we really want that to be a big component within our curriculum. So that's kind of where we're leaning towards getting a new one. And literacy components are really not developmentally appropriate. The strategies in this curriculum are really outdated. They teach like a letter a week or going over 1 letter at a time. And through like our New Mexico trainings through the PD, like our letters and strategies like that, that's just not appropriate practice anymore.
Is that phonics?
Yes. So phonics is a little bit hard for our kids, but phonological awareness is kind of where we start with our youngest learners. So the literacy components that are in 3 Cheers for Pre-Ks don't really align to the Hegarty curriculum that we have adopted for our pre-K and preschool, and that's where we learn all of our phonological awareness skills.
Thank you.
So what curriculum do we feel we need? So like I said, we compared all 3 curriculums, and we really feel like we want to go with Frog Street for preschool. They came out with a new curriculum this year, so they've had Frog Street for 3s, Frog Street preschool, and Frog Street for pre-K. So we feel like Frog Street preschool is that really middle area between the two. So while we're doing our 3-year-olds and really addressing their skills, we can also develop our kids that are typically developing that are entering the program as well. We'd really love the definition that they give, that 3-year-olds are really special. They're transitioning from parallel play to interactive play, and their language capacity is blossoming. They're becoming much more mobile, and they're learning to show genuine affection and concern for their peers. So Frog Street for 3s in preschool meets the specific needs of 3-year-olds in key areas of development. So we're really, like I said, working on those social skills. So you'll see that social bridge is one of the biggest foundations of this curriculum. That early literacy development, so really engaging them in read alouds, learning how to sit and attend to a story read aloud to them, developing vocabulary components, which helps develop their language, and especially for our English language learners, those foundational math skills, which really starts at learning how to count, learning how to classify and make patterns, how to sort by an attribute. So that's something that we know are really aligned to our essential indicators for New Mexico for our 3-year-olds, so that's kind of what we're leaning towards. And how would the new curriculum really better support our students? So we're really focused on those student learning principles, so that student-directed learning is why we really love Frog Street. Their whole curriculum is really made towards student-directed learning. So all of the lessons, all of the small group instruction is all with manipulatives. It's really hands-on. There's a lot less of those like just discussion or lecture points that 3 Cheers for Pre-K had. So we really liked those ideas because our students need lots of movement, they need lots of hands-on exploration and manipulation, so we feel like there's a lot more student-directed learning in this curriculum. As far as academics and literacy, like I showed on the previous slide, all of those learning is really at that foundational level, which we're teaching the very youngest students, so they need a lot less of very strict, lessons and more of those basic foundational skills like colors, naming shapes, learning how to name letters, understanding that letters have meaning, things like that. So that's really why we like Frog Street, because it really emphasizes those foundational skills. There's a lot of scaffolded learning opportunities, so all of the learning in Frog Street builds upon each other, so it constantly is recalling previously learned skills, and it also shows you how to differentiate for those students who need more accommodations. So if they're at a level that the other students aren't at, it already has those built in for you for how to teach them and how to help those students get to the level they need to be at. Phonological awareness, like I said, we have the Hegarty curriculum adopted through the district. So the phonological awareness that is in Frog Street really connects to our Hegarty curriculum. It teaches a lot of the same skills like blending and segmenting compound words, understanding what rhyming words means, and then also it has a lot of visual supports with it. So Miss Gabby will show you, like a lot of what we do is like blending and segmenting compound words. So it comes with the visuals for our students that need more visual support. And our 3-year-olds, they need lots and lots of visuals. So it's amazing to have that support already made, and teachers don't have to do something else extra to make that support available to students. Conscious discipline and mindful movement. So like I said, the last school year we adopted the PBIS pyramid program, which really emphasizes positive redirection, giving specific positive praise to our students to really help them build those social emotional skills, and also to improve behaviors across all settings. So this curriculum has a built-in conscious discipline, which teaches teachers how to use that all throughout different settings and different routines throughout the day. So it ties into our PBIS pyramid because it's teaching us how to use specific praise within like free choice centers or our whole group instruction time, and then also how to do positive reinforcement throughout the day. And mindful movement, as you know, 3-year-olds, they're constantly going. They need lots and lots of movement. So mindful movement is really helpful because it's teaching them those coping skills. So it's giving them movement opportunities throughout the instructional day, but doing like things like yoga, deep breathing. So it's teaching them how to cope with those big emotions that they have at this age. It's very culturally competent. There's different areas in like the teacher guide where you go week to week, day to day of what you're doing, and it shows you how to add in cultural diversity or to how to add in those family engagement opportunities, and you're presenting their cultures into the classroom. So that's something that we really want to emphasize and promote within our classroom to make that an inclusive environment. So that was something that we really liked about Frog Street. The vocabulary component is really awesome. Gabby will show you some of the vocabulary cards and kind of explain that.
Here,
but
since our students are very visual.
you get some visuals.
Yes.
So,
Is this a fly?
If you
it is a fly.
If you flipped it,
Okay.
you will see that it's dual language.
Oh, wow.
And it also has visuals as like sign language that would be very appropriate for our students that are nonverbal. And it has those supports in place for them.
And it's really awesome for like this year, like per se, we had a lot of new teachers in the 3-year-old classrooms. So that's teacher support and student support. It teaches you how to build that language, but also build language for English language learners and our nonverbal students. So we love all those visuals.
And that's compared to our current curriculum. This is a
is what we have.
vocabulary card for our curriculum, and it only has the word and the picture compared to the new one. that we
And the
have.
words in this curriculum are only English. We have to translate them to Spanish.
Yes. So as you can see here are the adaptations we've had to make to like help support our students.
And that already includes all of those adaptations and modifications. And then math components in this curriculum are a lot more age appropriate. Like I said, they're really building at those foundational skills. So like counting, learning how to recognize patterns, how to sort items, and learn the differences and similarities between items. And that's really what they need right now, is more of those hands-on explorations and lessons. Those are really cool. I love the sign language portion. We have a lot of nonverbal students that we do a lot of sign language with.
And this is another part of it that also comes in dual language. It comes in English and Spanish, and it also comes with materials that are already prepared, so we don't have to prepare them, which is very helpful. They're magnetics, and it's nursery rhyme, and it helps put it in sequence for the students to learn and stuff. And this is also in English and Spanish.
And it already comes like that.
Yes.
All of the books, all of the nursery rhymes, everything's in English and Spanish with visual support.
Make other faces for your friend to copy this. This came in, make you laugh.
So this just kind of shows that same view so everybody can see of the vocabulary cards where you have the English, the Spanish, the sign language portion. It tells you how to teach it, which was something that was really lacking in our current curriculum. It gives you the vocabulary, but it doesn't tell you how to teach the vocabulary to those students in child-friendly definitions, and this gives you a whole view of how to do that, and also how to build language support for those ones that are needing that support.
And all the vocabulary ties into the same thematic units of every month.
And social emotional words too. So how does the new curriculum better support teachers? So one thing we really loved about this curriculum is that planning and preparation are almost done for you. So it teaches you how to plan ahead. It has a list of all the materials you'll need for each lesson, and most of the materials are already provided within this curriculum. Whereas 3 Cheers for Pre-K, none of the items are provided in the curriculum. So this comes with most of the manipulatives, like I showed you, all of those visuals and stuff as well are already prepared in there. So it gives you those things already in there. So that really supports teachers with lesson planning, prepping for lessons, and having those materials made for them. Professional development is a big component of this curriculum. We could do in-person professional development where they come and train us on the curriculum, teach us how to use all the supports online and in person. But there's also teacher reflections that are at the end of each week in the curriculum. It encourages you to reflect on your teaching, how things and lessons went with your students, where you can improve, and helps you develop those goals, which really ties into our professional development plans. Our lesson plans, you have to self-reflect, so that encourages all of those things and ties them together. It has cultural and linguistic responsiveness. So if you can see on here, there's a snippet where we did cultural responsiveness. So all of these things, Gabby can show you, are in the weekly teacher guide. So as you go through each lesson and how to teach them and prep them, all of these little snippets are in there. So there's cultural responsiveness, there's differentiate instruction ideas, how to support students that are below level, how to challenge students that are above level, how to adapt for special needs, how to include students that have been absent and come back to school, how to encourage dual language learning, even with different types of techniques. Like they have TPR, which is like physical learning through vocabulary. So all of those things are already embedded into the curriculum and that teacher guide.
Pre-K special needs.
Sure. And then there's a self-care component within this curriculum too, which you know, teacher burnout is a pretty big deal across teachers across the nation. So we really liked that there's a self-care component because it teaches you ways to take care of yourself as a teacher throughout the week of you teaching your students, and also teaching your students how to do those things too. Classroom setup is included in the tour guide that you get initially at the beginning of the year. So it teaches you and gives you ideas of how to set up your classroom and adapt it for students with special needs, and also how to decrease behaviors just using your classroom setup and environment. Student interaction and relationship and language building is a big thing for our 3-year-olds. We're constantly interacting and trying to build those relationships with them. So that's what those cards are. Gabby can show you those cards. But they help us, like if during your routines, if you're in free choice and center plays, those can be placed around the classroom or just used during transitions. And it's different ways to develop language, to develop those phonological awareness skills, social emotional skills. So those cards come with the curriculum as well for the teacher component. And then assessment, so obviously we're constantly assessing and observing our students and their skills to better, practice our skills, but also to help them progress. So there's summative assessment that's included in the curriculum for 3 Cheers and for the Frog Street curriculum. But we really like the Frog Street because it does weekly check-ins and then a summative assessment, and it ties into our assessments now because we're using the same essential indicators and like the pre-K guidelines, so it all connects together.
We're on a roll, just keep going.
Okay. So when we looked at all 3 of the curriculums, we were really looking at how the 3 compare and what are the most important components to us as preschool teachers, especially for our 3-year-old students, because like Ms. Danielle said, there hasn't ever really been a curriculum that has been adopted just for our 3-year-old learners. Oh, okay. So this is the things that we came up with as a team and really what we felt are the biggest components that we would like for our curriculums to have. So that literacy and math development that's developmentally appropriate for 3-year-olds and below, and also for students with special needs. And 3 Cheers for Pre-K missed the marks on those, and the creative curriculum as well, but Frog Street really had those components. Same thing with social emotional learning. All 3 of them have components, but Frog Street's felt the most developmentally appropriate for our students. That dual language support that's readily available was really included in the creative curriculum in Frog Street. We just felt like Frog Street was a lot more user-friendly for teachers. Accommodations and modifications are really embedded in the creative curriculum in Frog Street. Assessment is included in all 3, but there's different types. And that professional development component is really in the creative curriculum in Frog Street. And then those teacher supports that are already there is in Frog Street. So as you can see, Frog Street has almost every single one that we are really wanting to emphasize within our program. So after comparing and exploring the 3 curriculums, we really feel that Frog Street Preschool, the dual language curriculum, will best support our students' needs and goals. So we thank you for your consideration for our proposal. Do you have any questions or concerns? Lots of information, sorry.
All right, sorry, I have lots of questions actually.
Well, ask me all the questions.
Okay, well first I'll start kind of at a strategic level and understand a little bit more and then get down to the tactical, what I kind of want to ask. Hey, so first question, the 3-year-old program is different than the pre-K program, correct?
Yes, so previously our 3-year-old program, go ahead, Ms. Danielle.
Yes, sir. So our 3-year-old program was you could only get in if you qualified on an IEP. So our New Mexico Pre-K program is not like that. You can go in at any time as soon as a child turns 4. They can just be enrolled into our program. So we are currently enrolling for anyone who's listening. But in our 3Y program, as soon as that child turns 3 years old, if they qualify for an IEP, they can begin. Like we just had 3-year-olds begin about a week ago, and it's constantly ongoing. And so they do have the similar standards they're learning, but they really are developmentally appropriate as far as what they're expected to have a 3-year-old typically developing learn and a New Mexico pre-K. And so they are tied together because we both fall under ECCD and PED, but they're different as far as the type of students we serve. And so that's why we got the new 3Y pilot, is we're trying to add more typically developing students to be peer models. So won't be exactly like New Mexico pre-K because our ratios are the complete opposite, where you're going to have about, in our 3Y program, maybe 3 or 4, if we're lucky, typically developing students. The rest are on IEPs, and New Mexico pre-K is more of the opposite, more typically developing fewer IEPs. But our 3-year-olds automatically transition into our New Mexico pre-K.
So, what schools are you guys doing the pilot at? So where
It's
is it
only
available
Parkview,
right
so
now?
3Y is
sorry,
only
okay.
held at
Got it,
Parkview.
sorry, thank
Our
you.
New Mexico pre-K is, we have 5 schools at Parkview, Valley View, Monterey, Missouri, El Cap, and Del Norte. And then all schools I didn't name are our neighborhood pre-Ks. So they hold 1 pre-K class, I hold 10 pre-K classes, and then we have 8 3Y classes. Y'all guys should definitely come out to Parkview. You really should come out and see it. It's a special place.
It'd be wonderful. I haven't been. need
I
to
haven't
go.
seen you. You haven't been there since I've been there. I would love for
I
you
was
to
there
come.
when they first started building it and when they
Oh,
started.
you got to see it now. It's amazing.
Okay, hey, so here's the hard question. So, Presidential Executive Order 14190, ending radical indoctrination in K-12 schooling, talks a lot about ensuring that DEI is removed. And again, I only had about 5 minutes to research it, but what DEI is within the curriculum? Because in quick research, it shows that there is, but I couldn't specify where that was at. Do you think that the curriculum is in adherence to the executive order? And I don't know.
I don't know. I'll be honest,
Okay.
I'm not quite sure either. You're talking about K up,
Sure,
right?
so just any curriculum. But it's any, I believe, just reading the executive order, any public schooling. But I just want to ensure that it's in alignment with the executive order.
Yes, sir. So when I
Okay.
first checked and I brought the idea to get a new curriculum for 3Y, I had to get approval. I sent the email also to Mrs. Cole, and those are the 2 curriculums that were approved by ECCD and also PED. So is that
Okay.
what you're?
No, that's it. I think Ed and the Department of Education differ in their definitions of what's allowed and not allowed, so.
We can only do it if it's approved by both.
Okay.
Whenever we're looking at doing a curriculum and only be
Okay.
funded for them. So
Perfect.
I
I
would
know that's
definitely
a
would not
question.
bring a
Yeah.
curriculum that has not been pre-approved to you.
Perfect, thank you. Superintendent, yes,
May I answer?
oh, yeah,
May I go ahead and answer?
please.
On the statement that Mr. Ashley has stated,
Yep,
I believe that it's in the court and it is not resolved yet.
okay,
They were denied the continuation of that. So that's probably gonna go to the Supreme Court to be
Yeah.
finalized.
Yeah, I agree 100%, Mrs. Sanchez. I just, I want to make sure that the curriculum, since again, it hasn't been adjudicated in courts yet, is in alignment with the presidential, what word am I looking for? Executive orders, thank you. Just, again, what I don't want to find, the RSID is in a predicament that we lose federal funding because we're not in alignment with executive orders.
Yes, sir, Mr. Ashby, and I'm, you've got me on the spot now, so I'm looking too, so.
That letter that you signed, Mr. Superintendent Locke, doesn't that correspond with what Mr. Ashley is saying, that you agreed to it?
Yes, ma'am. What we sent to the federal government and to the state level the other day, so that's correct. That we will adhere to the law.
No, that's right. I just want to make sure as we review the curriculum, so most of the curriculum, I don't know when Frog Street developed this specific curriculum, but I'm guessing it wasn't in the last couple months. Therefore, I want to ensure that it's in alignment with the executive orders moving forward.
Yes,
That's
sir.
it.
Yes, sir.
Perfect. You guys did a wonderful brief, though. I just had to ask that question. It was absolutely wonderful. And it looks great. I just want to make sure that it adheres to executive orders. That's it.
Of course, of course.
It looks wonderful. Compared to what you showed before in this, it's great.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, when you were doing your presentation, it seems like you were given a directive and y'all were doing your own curriculum making up by providing the materials to start, so you started a foundation, and now what you're asking for is for us to give permission for this curriculum, correct? So that all of those little check boxes are checked, because I used to do early childhood. I was the licensing supervisor for a couple of different parts of the state, and hey, I commend y'all for working with them kids, man. I mean,
tough job. Those standards, but we always have to have so many different things that we have to do to the current curriculum that we have, because it doesn't support the needs of our students.
and a lot of your
Just
money's.
having something like this that would.
So we get a lot of money from the state, correct? For early childhood development, correct?
So this money right here that would be used to purchase the curriculum
Right.
is straight from the 3Y pilot grant.
Right.
That comes from ECCD, so it's
Right.
not from the state.
Oh, it's not?
No, this is completely funded by ECCD.
Okay.
Well, it is an entity of, it is an entity
It
of
is-
the
it is an
state.
entity
It is an
of the
entity
state.
But
of
it's
the
not-
state.
It's not the PED, it's not the PED.
No, I know.
Right.
I know the difference between PED and early childhood education.
Yeah.
But
Okay.
it's not federal funds.
Right,
This
it's
is
state
funded
funds.
through state funding.
Okay.
That is a difference.
Thank
Yeah.
And a question for Mrs. Ortega.
Yes,
Would
ma'am.
this curriculum be in time for you guys to use in August?
No, ma'am. So for this particular curriculum, it's their first dual language one. And so it's actually being printed right now. Well, they said that it should be ready by July. So then it would have to then be waiting for funding to drop to be able to purchase it. But our hope would be to start it this year as soon as possible, pending approval from the board.
No pressure.
Okay.
So is that full dual language? We're going 2 languages all the time with all the kids?
So the goal with when we're doing the dual language, that's that extra support. And so, yes, that's part of what we're supposed to do. How are we supporting our students? And so what we have done with our pre-K classrooms and our 3Y is try to make sure at least one adult, whether the teachers or EAs, are bilingual so they can support, because we do have a large number. And I don't know, Mr. Bewley could probably give what's going into kindergarten, but this is a way to be able to support both languages for them. And so it's nice being able, like Ms. Jasmine said, having that support for our teachers who are only English speaking. Most of them can read Spanish. And so they're able to present it in, there's English, but right away in Spanish. And actually that's part of our requirements by ECCD. If you go into our classrooms, you will see all our labels have to be in English and Spanish. So shapes, numbers, pictures, where they're having to take the vocabulary and also write it again in Spanish. We're having to do that with everything because that is a requirement when they go in and the state's looking. And so when they're talking about how well we've done, we're having to put a lot of extra work in to do what is already required of us to do.
How many kids do you service in that program?
So my 3-year-old program, we're almost hit 180, and then our 4-year-olds, I think we're about 182 just at Parkview. The district's funded for 360. I can't say for sure how many are in our neighborhood schools. But altogether, my school's about 360, so it's larger than most students, and it continues to grow. So it's one that we don't go down in numbers. We do nothing but go up.
I think while we're talking about that, if you don't mind if I add, so this year, the state is, they're giving money to private pre-Ks, so there's a little competition happening. We have five pre-Ks, 5 early childhood businesses who have and are applying for the funding. They'll receive it. And so we're 4 days a week at Parkview in pre-K, and they're 5 days a week. So if you're a parent and you're looking for a place and you need childcare, many parents may opt to go to those childcare providers. So we might see a decrease in our numbers. So I know that Sally is working with them on what can we do to work together. We provide a lot of training for their staff. We provide a lot of after-hours training. You heard earlier one of the parents talked about going through one of our triple P parenting courses. And so we're doing a lot to work with those providers, but just so you're aware, we may see a decrease in our numbers as a result of that, the way that funding is coming down.
So that's mandates from ECD or ECECD, whatever,
That it's offered?
Yes.
that we offer that training?
We are required to be collaborative, provide family engagement opportunities. That's what they call it, one pre-K,
One Mexico.
Yes.
Yes, to answer your question, yes.
And
Well, there's a big difference in childcare and what y'all are doing.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
sir.
Because I know all about licensing childcare because I did that as well. And, you know, there's a big difference in childcare, because if you want a babysitter, you know, that's basically, and I'm not dogging anybody's business, but if you want a babysitter, go to a daycare. But if you want your kids to learn, you're gonna have them in programs like this as well as the Head Start programs, because that's the foundation. And I know y'all have affected Head Start's enrollment because they're down like 2 or 3 classrooms because they've all came to the neighborhood schools. So.
one of the things that I really like about this curriculum is that it integrates the pyramid model, which is the state-adopted SEL. And we know that our kiddos are coming in with a little bit, you know, they don't have the social skills. And so one of the things that I think that we covered when we went through the curriculum is just that, how do we teach things like reading facial expressions? So we know that during COVID, we missed that, right? The kids didn't learn that affect, and so, because the masks were on. And so this curriculum helps, you know, students in those situations. I would be surprised if it's not compliant with the executive order.
Correct.
But because of what, you know, Danielle said, they're imprinting
Yeah,
right now. We
yeah,
have a
yeah.
little time that we could dig into it a little
Yeah.
more deeply if you'd like. There are samples, you all can look at it. I think it would be okay, just based on the presentation that they gave tonight. And I know that our youngest learners really need that appropriate curriculum because they don't have it right now. The phonological awareness is a huge component for their learning, building those skills before they become readers, before we start, you know, looking at the phonics part of it. So,
With that, I don't want to impede progress, and it does look like a great curriculum from what I can see. So I'm going to vote yes. However, can I see a sample? And again, I will propose, if I see something that I don't like, that we relook at it in a future date. If the board doesn't agree, then we won't agree. But if it's okay, I'd like to take a sample, and I'll vote yes, because I don't want to be the one that impedes progress.
So we need. So
And I trust you, Mrs. Cole.
Is that a motion?
Motion. Yes, that's a motion. Mr. Edwards?
All right, we got a motion to approve. Do we got a second?
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? All right. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? All right, the ayes have it, and curriculum has been adopted.
Hey, with that, that was a wonderful brief. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you.
You did a fabulous job, and thanks for answering my hard questions. That was wonderful.
It's very nice, I appreciate that.
No, you didn't look it. You crushed it.
Thank you.
All right, next we're going to move on to the 2024-2025 bus contractor evaluation.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the 2024-2025 bus contractor evaluations. And Ms. Merchant is up here right now to go over that.
Good evening. Thank you, Mr. Luck, President Cheney, members of the board. In front of you, you have your bus contractor evaluations, and it was all good news. Everything was great. I've started here in January. They have been wonderful to work with. They've been very flexible. I'm very impressed with both of our contractors for our bus evaluators.
Good.
Charlie, Ms. Merchant, speak. Make sure you're talking to the mic. There you go.
Good job, Charlie.
Thank you. Any questions?
No? Looks good.
Nope.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Edwards, second made by Mr. Ashby. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
The ayes have it, and that is, motion is passed. We'll continue on with the transportation contract adjustment for Hamlet.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the transportation contract adjustment for Hamel Transportation.
So this is a new bus that came in. This is business as usual. So we're just asking that we go ahead and adjust their contract going forward so that they can get their rental payment.
And this is for a bus?
It is for a new bus.
Okay.
So moved.
Motion made by Mr. Ashby. I'll go ahead and second that one. Any discussion? Okay, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it, and the motion has passed. Continuing on, we have a bid recommendation for annual plumbing services and repairs.
Yes, sir, Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the bid recommendation for annual plumbing services and repairs.
Before you have the recommendation. Are there any questions?
Okay, what does this entail?
This is for anything that our guys cannot handle, any kind of emergency situations, business as usual that we need to call a plumber out for.
Do we have a list of plumbers that we use?
They're in front of you.
Okay.
And this would be our something's backed up, something's too large for our guys to take care of in a timely fashion. And it looks like some of the companies that we've used in the past.
I think that's why I was asking, because well, a lot of times we've sent our guys out to do the work, and later on we've had to call a plumber.
Right.
So that's why. And usually you see pretty much the same people out there.
Correct.
I just see a schedule. Is there an actual recommendation here
Should be on the prior page.
on the first page? Okay.
So you have the title page, and then the one right next will be the bid recommendations for multiple awards.
Okay. All right. Can I get a motion to approve?
Oh, second.
Ms. Sanchez made the motion. Mr. Ashby made the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The ayes have it, and the motion has passed. All right, we're going to skip item H, I think.
Yes, sir.
Okay, because that was removed at the beginning of the meeting. Moving on to the sponsorship donation from the Todd Memorial Trust.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of the sponsorship donation, Todd Memorial Trust, and I have Ms. Sanchez here from Pecos Elementary. Let's talk about that.
President Cheney, Superintendent Luck, and members of the board, we are excited to possibly accept the donation from the Todd Memorial Trust to fund our NDI participation. NDI is a National Dance Institute that comes to Pecos. It has been for several years, yes, and they are incredibly talented. This year, working with the Tiny Tots, which is the select group of kindergartners, all fourth graders, and then a select SWAT team from 5th grade, and very special staff members as well.
When is the performance supposed to take?
The performance was 2 weeks ago, May 2nd.
We missed it. Okay.
Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Edwards, second made by Mr. Ashby. Discussion?
Nope.
Okay, we'll go to vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye? Aye. The ayes have it, and the motion is carried.
Thank you.
All right, next up, we're going to have our fiscal year 23-24 audit report and presentation.
So,
Well, I gotta-
do we have phone number? You got a phone number?
I've got a phone number.
Awesome. So while Mr. Cheney is doing that, I'm going to go ahead and recommend, Mr. President, members of the board, approval of the fiscal year 2023-2024 audit report presentation that you are about to go over. And a side note, that I emailed you guys that presentation a little bit earlier today. It's fairly substantial. I thought y'all might want to have a copy of it as well.
Good evening. This is Gwen.
Good evening, this is Jack with the Roswell Independent School Board. We are having our regular meeting and we're looking for our presentation.
Great. I am the person for that for sure. Do you guys have the printout of the slides, or I guess they're on Zoom, right? Or sorry, they're on a screen, so we can go ahead and go through those?
Yes.
Okay, so I've got mine pulled up now. And good evening, y'all. Be nicer to be there in person, which circumstances tend to preclude that sometimes. Glad to get this opportunity to go ahead and present this audit, and then pretty soon it'll be time for the 2025. So if we go through, coming from the first slide here, we'll go on to the next one. That's the agenda. This will be a short and sweet presentation. The financial statements have been through the state auditor and everything, so we're just touching on really the reports we issued and a few highlights to close out the night. So we'll go ahead and go to the next slide and then the next, please, where we'll talk about the timeline. Pretty standard here. We had an engagement letter in August. We were working on planning already by that point. That's, going through the information, that making sure we don't have any updates, looking at controls, and also getting the single audit started. Then we were working through the field work through October, went into the review stages there, and we had the final reports ready, presented in the exit, and submitted to the state on the deadline of November 15th. Now, they're a little slow up there, so we didn't get them released until March, and then we've had, we're going through the final presentation today. All right, so again, let's flip forward 2 slides, please. And an overview of the auditor's reports issued. We will issue 3 in a single audit. The first one is over the financial statements themselves. And this is just referred to as the independent auditor's report. It's the real general one. The main point of this report is to give the opinion on the financial statements. And Roswell Independent Schools did get an unmodified opinion, which is the best, even though that's not a very best-sounding word. That's the best opinion that you can get. And what we're saying with that is that those financial statements are presented fairly in accordance with the accounting principles that apply to governments in the U.S. It's not 100% that every penny in there is correct. To get to that point, we'd have to be looking over y'all's shoulders all year long, and nobody wants that situation. So we're getting to what's called reasonable assurance, that people, whether it's users, whether it's the school board, whether it's the state, grantors, etc., can be confident that these financial statements can be relied upon for decision making. And we didn't have any areas where we couldn't render an opinion. That means that we received enough information to satisfy ourselves as to that opinion. Okay, on the next slide, this is the second report, which is towards the back of the financial statements. This covers internal controls over the financial statements and is referred to as the Government Auditing Standards Report or the Yellow Book Report. This is a lower level of assurance on those controls. Those controls are the processes and procedures that are designed to prevent or detect material misstatements in the records. Okay, so we give negative assurance here, which basically means if we find something, we'll have it in the report, but we're not going out to look for every single thing. Again, that would be time and effort prohibitive. So in doing this, we found one significant deficiency, one other non-compliance finding. That's what the O&C stands for. And those are typically small matters that really only the state might really care about. So that's really not a big deal. Nothing there to be too concerned about. Although following up on the progress in resolving those findings will be important, and that'll be addressed in next year's audit as well. Okay, on to the next slide, please. This is the third and final report. This is the single audit report or the uniform guidance report. And this is the one where we look at specific federal awards and issue an opinion on whether the school district complied with the rules, laws, and regulations that apply to those funds. So we looked at two major programs, the ones that we really did a deep dive on in 2024. There's a Title I, which is the funding for the lower income schools, and then the Education Stabilization Fund, which is nearly the last of all the COVID money that went out to schools. Of course, this is winding down as we get further away from that time. We did have an unmodified opinion on both programs. We're saying that the school district complied in all material respects with the stuff for those programs. We had one finding, which was a significant deficiency. This was in Title I. It was really a mismatch between some procedures. I think it'll be relatively easy to resolve. So, not a big deal, nothing about misspent funds or anything like that. Should be easy to resolve and move forward. None of these findings rose to the level of a material weakness. That's where the findings really start getting serious. Okay, and if we can move on again, 2 slides, please. We just have some highlights of financial position and stuff about the district. So this first slide is about the cash and investments held by the district. There will sometimes be these swings here. There were increases in SEG program units that came in 2024, which bumped up that cash investments on hand quite a bit. And as you can see in 21 and 22, there was also a big increase there, partially related to some of the COVID funding. Okay, if we can go on to the next one, please. This is the revenues and expenditures for the district as a whole. This can look a little bit wacky here because those expenditures include changes in the liabilities for the pensions and the retiree health care. So you can see it looks like there was a $20 million decrease in 2024. Some of that is because of changes in those liabilities related to market conditions for OPEB, quite a bit there. There was also an increase in revenues here as well. That included some of the ARPA funding that was used for HVAC projects. You can see there was quite an increase there between the last 3 years on the slide. Okay, the next slide, please. This is just relating cash investments purely in the general fund. So that increase there, that's definitely due to the SEG funding. So this really doesn't include much of the effects of the COVID funding. This is more just general operating funds. So obviously the district is in a very, very good position here with the extra money from the state coming in. Okay, our last slide here for kind of financial condition stuff. This is showing revenues and expenditures solely for the general fund. And as you can see, they track pretty closely with each other because this is like general operating expenses. It doesn't have the NPL and OPEB stuff in there. So it's mostly day-to-day stuff. Very, very close there in 2024. Again, there was revenues and expenditures there from increases in funds from the state. And a lot of that increase in expenses was due to salary and benefits. I believe there was a 6% raise in salaries for the educational folks. And then the ERB rate also increased. So, next slide, please. You know, everybody up there has been great to work with. We had Angelica working very closely with y'all. And if it was possible, she'd be here as well, but you know, phone call limitations. Yeah, we had a good audit process last year. And I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to serve you in this way. And I'd also like to point out that we are here year-round for anything y'all need. I work very extensively in the federal grant area, and as we are dealing with much uncertainty at this time, I'd just like to point out that we are here to assist you. But if it's a silly little question or something more in-depth, you know, don't hesitate to reach out. And that's it. You've got our contact information right there for both myself and Angelica. So I hope that was short and sweet for everybody, and let you get on with your evening. And again, thank you very much. I believe we're working with the 2025 contract, so we'll be starting this process over here in a few months. Anybody have any questions or anything?
So is this on, I'm a little bit confused. So on this audit, is this where they cut, when was the entrance made for this? Usually they.
I'm sorry, it's a little bit muffled. Can somebody help me, please?
Okay. So usually, normally, I think myself and Mr. Ashby are on the audit committee, correct? And was there an entrance made, was there an entrance?
There was an entrance conference.
But were we privy to that?
I believe you attended on.
Because, and that's one of my concerns was last year we weren't included. This year you have another one, and I'm just kind of confused.
We haven't set up the entrance conference.
Oh, you haven't set up an entrance, okay.
Yeah.
And so there's no entrance right now for this year's?
No, we're still working on the contract.
Okay.
Right. With the delays at the state especially, I mean, it took them about 4 months to go through the report and send it back. So this is all pretty backward looking at this point, unfortunately.
Right, that's where I'm kind of confused, because normally you were part of.
It wasn't released until March 8th.
Okay, because I know you were part of the audit at one time, as well as Mr. French. So I'm just a little bit confused. So did we have any findings?
We had 3.
3. That's what I had came up with, was we had 3 findings.
3 findings.
Okay. All right. That's
Yeah, we were finished up in November, but I don't know what they were doing up there, but it's been quite a wait this year.
Okay, no problem.
No, and actually, Mr. Edwards, Mr. Shane, members of the board, I'm going back real quick in emails, and I'm all the way back into November with just basic information. Even one dated 11/15/2024 was one of the requests was for our legal counsel to provide information. So I mean, this has been an ongoing process.
Right, and that's normally
Yes, sir.
how it is. But normally, we have an entrance. The auditor comes down. The board members are in there. You got the guys from the what's the school out here at the charter school. They're included, but it's no biggie.
Okay. Tuesday, November 5th would be the date of that meeting for the exit.
Exit was November, yes,
Yep.
November 15th. Entrance was a week before.
Yeah. Okay.
So I really didn't catch a bunch of that, but I think, yeah, we were able to get this done, by the deadline at least. So we do have to make those last minute inquiries there just because there's professional standards related to stuff that happens after your end that we need to capture by the time we issue the audit. And yeah, I mean, it's been rough, these waits for everybody. I mean, this is not the only project that we've been waiting on too, just for the state to go through their processes. So.
All right, thank you. Any other?
Thank you. Everybody have a good evening.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Can we get a motion to approve the audit report?
So moved.
Motion made by Ms. Sanchez, second made by Mr. Ashby. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? The ayes have it and the motion is carried. We'll move on to our next item, which is a policy I-7350 IKF, graduation requirements, second reading.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, members of the board, I recommend approval of policy I-7350, IKF, graduation requirements. Again, second reading. What this policy does, again, it feels like it's been forever since we talked about it. It lowers the minimum credits required to graduate from 28 to hit the state standard of 24 here in the Roswell Independent School District. And with an approval, let me backtrack. We have polled all of our high school counselors. We have been assured that this will not impact next year's graduation valedictorian salutatorian, i.e. this year's juniors, that we would like to put this into effect with the class of 2026. And that way we want to eliminate any barrier that we have put in place that would possibly cause a student not to finish and not to graduate. And again, this second reading. Now, I will say too, Ms. Cole and I, Mr. Bolaños met the other day. We have an additional set of criteria that we will be bringing to you before a July 1st deadline that will allow the board to actually participate. Legislation that was passed gives local autonomy. So looking forward to that coming up pretty quick. But this one tonight is just the total number of credits, and it does align us with state standards.
Discussion, can I get a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Edwards, second made by Mr. Ashby. We can go for more discussion. All right, we'll move on to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 The ayes have it and the motion has carried. That takes us to our reports.
Yes, sir. Mr. President, members of the board, I just have a couple things that I want to point out real quick in my superintendent's report that y'all received on Friday. First and foremost, we have our graduations coming up next week. We're going to go Thursday, Friday, Saturday with our graduations. We've reached out to the other each of the schools to give us any specifics, where to be, when to be there, etc. Again, if you need a robe, please make sure that Miss Julie gets the heads up that you need a robe for this. But the early college high school graduation is at 9 on Saturday. It's not at 8. It's at 9. The other item that I would like to draw your attention to is in our food services report from Ms. Kim Meeks. The student nutrition department will be going back to pre-COVID guidelines as far as our meals go. So the grab and go that we've become so accustomed to and got a little spoiled with will be no longer. We will have our meals given to children, 1 meal per child. They must eat on site. We'll provide tables and chairs for them to eat there. And that the breakfast and lunch can't be served together. So we have to have a break and a gap in between the two meals. And Ms. Kim and her crew are working diligently to make sure that we get all the information out to our parents. But I did want to draw your attention to that because that is going to be different. But, excuse me, I was very happy to hear that that was pre-COVID regular. So I was like, that felt good to get back to what we were doing before that. So just a heads up on that. And then one last thing, we had the presentation tonight that did request a retreat so that they could share the information with the board and go over the numbers. And we're going to need to either have a special meeting or I need some pretty good input for the June meeting for the item that we removed as well. So I would defer to the recommendation of the board as far as if y'all want to cover that at the June meeting, or if you would like a special meeting to discuss that.
Okay.
I'd prefer a special meeting, but
I think I'd like to see a special meeting.
I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
What I will do is I will get with, I'll look at the calendar and I will send out some potential dates. If you could, as individuals, you know, your heart, it's summer, your hard nose on the dates, please. And then that way I can maybe build a date that we can schedule that. And then off of that, perhaps maybe we can schedule a board retreat as well to go so that we can get those kids back in here to go over our stuff. So, all right. That concludes my portion of the superintendent's report. I do have our 3 policies that have been adopted, approved. Board, we're just going to go over them real quick. We're going in sequential order, not consequential, sequential order.
I'll put my earmuffs on.
And I will let Mr. Mata take over for that.
Okay, so first one we have is policy A0250, non-discrimination, equal opportunity. The board is committed to a policy of non-discrimination and equal opportunity in relation to race, color, religion, sex, sexual orientation, age, national orientation, and disability. This policy will prevail in all matters concerning staff members, students, the public, educational programs and services, and individuals with whom the board does business. The superintendent will appoint the compliance officers and/or Title IX coordinators. All reports or grievances regarding discrimination in employment other than those regarding discrimination on the basis of sex should be directed to the superintendent's office of compliance. All complaints or reports of discrimination on the basis of sex shall be directed to the Title IX coordinator per policy ACA. Next policy we have is policy A-0261, non-discrimination, equal opportunity. Compliance officer. The superintendent shall be the compliance officer. Any person who feels unlawfully discriminated against or to have been the victim of unlawful discrimination by an agent or employee of the district or who knows of such discrimination against another person should file a complaint with the superintendent. If the superintendent is the one aligned to have unlawfully discriminated, the complaint shall be filed with the president of the board. Complaint procedure. The district is committed to investigating each complaint and to take appropriate action on all confirmed violations of policy. The superintendent shall investigate and document complaints filed pursuant to this regulation as soon as reasonable. The investigating the complaint, the superintendent will maintain confidentiality to the extent reasonably possible. The superintendent shall also investigate incidents of policy violation that are raised by the board, even though no complaint has been made. If after the initial investigation, the superintendent has reasons to believe that a violation of policy has occurred, the superintendent shall determine whether or not to hold an administrative hearing and or to recommend bringing the matter before the board. If the person alleged to have violated policy is a teacher or an administrator, the due process provisions of the district policy GCQF shall apply, except that the supervising administrator may be assigned to conduct the hearing. In cases of serious misconduct, dismissal or suspension proceedings in accordance with policy may be initiated. If the person alleged to have violated policy is a support staff employee, the superintendent may follow due process and impose discipline under policy GDQD if the evidence so warrants. The superintendent also may recommend a suspension without pay, recommend dismissal, or impose other appropriate discipline. If the person alleged to have violated policy is a student, the superintendent may impose discipline in accordance with policies JK and JKD. If the superintendent's investigation reveals no reasonable cause to believe policy has been violated, the superintendent shall so inform the complaining party in writing. Timelines: the complaint must be filed within 30 calendar days after the complaining party knew or should have known that there were grounds for complaint or grievance. Once the written complaint has been filed using the forms provided by the district, the superintendent shall require the immediate supervisor or site administrator to investigate and respond in writing to the complaining party within 5 working days. If the immediate supervisor or site administrator does not respond, the superintendent will have 10 additional working days to respond in writing to the complaining party. If the superintendent does not respond within the established time, then the complaining party may request in writing that the issue be brought before the board. The board will then review the record of the investigation and have 30 days to respond to the complaining party in writing. Next, A-0281 is the form, the complaint form in which to issue the complaint. And A-0300, non-discrimination on the basis of sex, is kind of lengthy, so I'll go ahead and give you guys a quick overview of that one. It involves or applies to all district programs and activities, including employment. It covers incidents occurring at location, events under the district's substantial control. It states who the Title IX coordinator is here, and for our district, it is Maria Trujillo. Contact information must be publicly posted and included in all district publications. As far as the reporting is concerned, any individual can report sex discrimination or harassment at any time through any means that reaches the Title IX coordinator. District employees are mandated reporters and must report any observed or reported incidents to the Title IX coordinator, superintendent, or supervising administrator. Some examples of some prohibited conduct defined by federal regulations include quid pro quo sexual harassment by an employee, severe, pervasive, and objectively offensive conduct denying equal access, sexual assault, dating violence, domestic violence, or stalking. Some supportive measures. Upon receiving a report, the Title IX coordinator must promptly contact the complainant, discuss and implement non-disciplinary, individualized supportive measures, for example, counseling, schedule changes, no contact orders, or security support, and maintain the confidentiality of supportive measures when possible. The grievance procedures: the district must publish and notify individuals of its Title IX grievance process. A formal complaint must be filed by the complainant or signed by the Title IX coordinator, and both parties receive equitable treatment, including access to supportive measures. As far as corrective action and disciplinary measures, substantiated violations lead to corrective actions that may result in disciplinary consequences. For staff, they are subject to disciplinary action per district policies GCQF or GDQD. Students, they're subject to consequence under JK or JKD. There is, of course, a prohibition on retaliation. Retaliation against anyone involved in the Title IX complaint process is strictly prohibited. Includes intimidation, threats, or coercion related to participation in a Title IX process. And that was the last policy.
Thank you.
I have no comment.
All right, any other board communication, new and unfinished business?
Oh, yes.
Law conference, what are the dates of the law conference?
June,
6th to the 8th, is that what that is?
I think it's the next weekend. Law conference is the week of the 4th, 5th, 6th.
4th, 5th, 6th.
Correct. So if you're interested in the law conference, please let Ms. Julie know ASAP so that we can get everything registered for you.
Additional training hours, as well as a couple other ceremonies and events. It's a good time to get those training hours that we're mandated to get. Anything else?
I believe I gave Julie my name.
Okay.
I gave Julie my name for that conference.
And we did get her name.
Okay, thank you. All right. If there's nothing else, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Edwards, second made by Mr. Ashby. All those in favor, can I get a roll call, please?
Jack James,
Here.
Joe Sanchez. Here. James Edwards.
Yes.
Jared Ashby.
Present.
Ryan Fitch.